coastline. We also need to recognize that the food will be there. So we should limit the number of trips that we make to the grocery store, because it is, in fact, like anything else, a potential place in which you can contract the virus. And for those that still think that this is just a hoax, lives are being lost every single day. And if you have a party, as I saw next door just yesterday, if you have a party in your neighborhood and you think you're just fine, that is not necessarily the case at all. First of all, 1/3 of those who contract the virus are asymptomatic, which means you may in fact have the virus, you may be spreading the virus and don't even know it. And if you're doing that, you're placing so many more people at risk, and you're putting an extraordinary pressure on our healthcare facilities in this county and throughout the Bay Area. So our message to you is continue to do good, continue to stay home, continue to limit your time outside. And when you do go outside, as I saw some people doing yesterday at 4 o'clock to do any number of dances, great. Do it in your neighborhood, get the exercise, but leave it at that. Now, Congress did pass an astronomical stimulus bill late, very late, this last weekend. And my great friend, Congresswoman Eshoo, was there. I was not. There was a voice vote taken, so it did pass. And I want to just go over a couple of the significant points. And if you would put the first slide up, what's in it for me? I think that's what everyone is interested in right now. So what's in it for you? What's important to point out is that every person is going to receive $1,200. Every person, every adult in this country who earns $75,000 or less will receive $1,200. That includes senior citizens. Now, if you make between $75,000 and $99,000, you will still get money, but you will get less than that. For children, you will get $500 for each child under the age of 18. If you are a joint filer, you're going to receive $2,400 if you earn as a couple less than $150,000. Again, from $150,000 to $198,000 if you're a joint filer, you will still receive a check. It will be somewhat reduced. So right out of the chute, so to speak, we are injecting money into the economy and to help you out. Beyond that, if you have a 401k, you are going to have the ability now to take up to $100,000 out of your 401k without any penalty, and you will have up to 3 years to repay it. If you have a student loan, you will be able to have forbearance if you make a request, and that will be for at least 2 months. We may, in fact, extend it. There will be no accrual in the interest rate for the 2 months. And you don't even have to ask for that. They're just going to freeze the interest rate for the 2 months. There's also, as you know, new and historic family paid leave. And there is also paid sick leave of 2 weeks. And if you are a full-time employee, that can be up to $5,000. It caps out at about $500 a day for paid sick leave. And then for the family leave, you can have up to 12 weeks. So that's the first thing I want to point out. And the second thing is that there's exceptional opportunities for small businesses in our communities. Besides the loans, if you could put the next slide up, please. Can we put there you go. So this is really important to point out there is a lot of benefits for small businesses, particularly if you have less than 500 employees, but actually there's even benefits for employers that have more than 500 employees if they are at different locations. So there's disaster loans that you will be able to apply for up to $2 million. They are low interest loans. You will get a $10,000 cash advance immediately that will be provided within 3 days. And then if you don't get the loan, you don't have to pay back the $10,000. Again, these are for employers of less than 500 employees. There's also this Paycheck Protection Program. There's a maximum of $10 million on those loans. And if you retain 100% of your workforce at the end of the coverage period, you qualify for 100% of forgiveness based on the first 2 months. So that's very helpful as well. And then you can see debt relief and also the employee retention credit. I don't want to take any more time except to say San Mateo County has extraordinary leadership. The Board of Supervisors and the county manager, who is, as you know, Mike Callaghy, is holding daily briefings for all electeds, for all city managers, and for law enforcement. And we're doing our level best to make sure that we provide the best resources, the best communication, and we continue to fine-tune the programs that we have in place in San Mateo County. So let me now go to my colleague, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo.
Well, good morning, Jackie, and thank you for organizing this conference, and to all of my San Mateo County colleagues, thank you to you and for demonstrating the leadership that you have. I think Jackie has gone through the large legislation and what's in it for people. Really, the foundation of the legislation, of course, crafted by our Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, is foundationally for families and workers in our country. So it was built on that. I would just add a couple of points to what Jackie just walked through, and that is that there is a Marshall Plan in it, $360 billion for hospitals and health care. And relative to the cash transfers that people will be receiving, they are based on our 2019 tax returns. If you haven't filed your 2019 tax return, then the amounts will be based on your 2018 tax return. The small business portion of the bill, it is very broad. It has significant funds in it, and it covers much of what we collectively as members requested be in the legislation. On the unemployment insurance, we added an additional $600 weekly to the base amount that is currently in unemployment insurance. So it would be $900 weekly. And very importantly, it covers contract employees, gig workers. So we worked very hard to make sure that whatever part of our economy there are employees or workers, that they would be covered as well. California and local governments, that's a very important part of the legislation. California will receive $15+ billion from this legislation. We also passed legislation on March 4th, on the 18th of March, and the last one, which was this last Friday. I think paradoxically, the strength of our collective unity is really being demonstrated by being apart, at least 6 physical feet apart, and remaining at home to prevent the spread of the virus. This is what is working, and none of us can emphasize enough how important the remaining at home is to prevent the spread of the virus. In the Santa Clara County portion of my congressional district, yesterday was the first 24-hour period when no fatalities occurred. But as of Sunday, the number of new cases doubled, has more than doubled in a week's time. So I think that the scientists won out yesterday when the White House announced the stay-at-home be extended through April. So are we all being tested? Absolutely. But we are making progress by keeping that in place. And the wrong-headed proposal of the president that everything would be open and we would celebrate on Easter Sunday, thank goodness, is not the case any longer. So I'm prepared to answer any questions that you have, and thank you again, Jackie, for organizing this call.
Thank you, Anna. Now we'll have State Senator Jerry Hill talk about how the unemployment insurance is going to be operational at the state level.
Well, thank you, Jackie, and thank you for organizing this, and to you and Anna for the great work in Washington providing that stimulus package that will help our unemployed as well as small business owners throughout the state and every individual. But we did want to highlight as a priority, you know, the changes to the unemployment insurance fund and plan and how it's going to work. Because many people, many residents today, I don't believe, understand that this new stimulus package from Washington actually will change who is eligible and who can qualify for unemployment insurance. So as Anna's mentioned, those who are gig workers, those self-employed individuals, those part-time workers, those independent contractors who in the past were not covered are now eligible for unemployment. And not just for 26 weeks as the historic amount of time was, now for 39 weeks, which is an important difference in differentiation. Also, the new law historically, there's been a 1 week wait period when you become unemployed or lose your job. That's changed now, and that is waived. So you are eligible from the first day that you have been unemployed or laid off because of the coronavirus. It has made a major change in that. The amount that the state will pay is up to $450, and in adding that $600 from the federal stimulus package is about $1,050 that someone could be eligible for 39 weeks of unemployment. So it's a major shift which could hopefully, especially in this high cost area, sustain many people for it. So it's easy to apply. You can do it online. You just have to go to it's an easy one, www.edd.ca.gov, edd.ca.gov. You can also do it over the telephone, but the waits right now are a little longer. And you can do it by mail if you choose to. The time frame from when you apply to receiving that check could be as much as 3 weeks. The State Employment Development Department is working closely right now with the Department of Labor, the Federal Department of Labor, to try and see how these two programs will coordinate so that the payments can come out as quickly as possible. But the timeline at this point is about 3 weeks before you get that first check. So I think what we want to do is make sure people know what they can do, know the opportunity, and know that now they are qualified or could be, whereas in the past they weren't. So thank you, Jackie, again for this. And also, please stay at home, stay safe, and keep separated for the time being.
Thank you, Jerry. Now we'll hear from Speaker Pro Tem and Assemblyman Kevin Mullin. Kevin?
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Speier, for being a catalyst in pulling us together to share what is being done in San Mateo County to address COVID-19. Thank you as well to my legislative colleagues who have assembled today, as well as Board President Slocum and his colleagues from the board, County Manager Mike Callaghy, whose steady leadership and coordination of these various activities has been most helpful and has instilled confidence in the public of San Mateo County. So the work being done exemplifies the San Mateo County way: collaboration and communication among various entities serving the common good. We've gained clarity on changes to the Brown Act in these emergency circumstances, allowing multiple members of governing boards to participate in regular informational calls, ensuring we are working in concert from all levels of government. Also, gratitude to Congresswomen Speier and Eshoo, as well as Speaker Pelosi, for the $2 trillion stimulus package, in which transportation agencies like Caltrain and BART were provided relief in these extraordinary times where daily commuting in the Bay Area has virtually come to a halt. As a home of SFO, normally an economic engine, San Mateo County is experiencing firsthand the devastating economic impacts of this crisis. And we are deeply grateful for the federal assistance and, frankly, hopefully more to come. As you know, the state of California adopted a $1.1 billion emergency relief package to give Governor Newsom the financial ability to rapidly address this health crisis, including $30 million for a lease at Seton Hospital to accommodate COVID-19 patients, as well as making sure our schools are made financially whole during this unprecedented time. What is on display and in recent weeks is San Mateo County banding together to get through a crisis. To that end, please support San Mateo County Strong, the fundraising efforts supporting individuals and small businesses struggling to get through this crisis. Again, that information is at smcstrong.org. And as we know, that well after the coronavirus has taken its brutal toll, we will still be grappling with a recession and economic fallout, including quite possibly a depleted rainy day fund at the state level, unfunded pension liabilities harmed even further by the plunge in the stock market, and unemployment challenges across the state. San Mateo County is so very crucial to our region's and state's economy. And to that end, the state of California stands ready to assist in getting our economy up and running again and help displaced workers and their families survive and ultimately thrive again. So we are very grateful for the first responders, healthcare professionals, and service workers of all kinds for your good work. And San Mateo County does indeed stand strong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Now we'll hear from Assemblyman Marc Berman.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Speier. And, there truly aren't words to express the gratitude we all feel towards our healthcare heroes, the doctors, the nurses, and everyone else who's working who are working 24/7 in our hospitals to heal the sick, and who are willing to sacrifice their own personal health every day in service to our communities. We owe all of them an immense debt of gratitude. But beyond gratitude, we owe it to them to get them the personal protective equipment that they need to do their jobs safely. California has begun receiving shipments from the Strategic National Stockpile, which have very partially fulfilled our requests. But we're not relying on the federal government to give us everything we need. Californians are stepping up to take care of our own. Some of you might have heard over the weekend about how California received a shipment of dysfunctional ventilators from the federal government. Bloom Energy, a local clean energy company here in Silicon Valley, stepped up to say that they, working with biomedical engineers at Stanford, could fix those ventilators and get them deployed to hospitals faster than the time it takes to make new ones. Elon Musk and Sir Richard Branson are helping the state procure additional ventilators and desperately needed PPE. But it isn't just billion-dollar companies or billionaires who are stepping up. Over 350 companies have reached out to offer suggestions for how they can help. And I've heard of countless individuals throughout our communities in San Mateo County who are making their own masks or using 3D printers to make face shields to donate to local hospitals. This is the California spirit at work: generosity, innovation, and fierce determination. Another quality of Californians is compassion, as we saw last week when Governor Newsom announced he'd reached an agreement with as many as 200 banks to provide up to a 90-day grace period for mortgage payments, relief from fees and charges, and no negative credit impacts from late payments. It's important to emphasize that this is an agreement. It is not law, and it is critical that borrowers that have experienced financial hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic should contact your mortgage servicer directly to see if you qualify for a temporary pause in making your loan payments. And I want to repeat this. This does not apply to every borrower in California, and it is not automatic. You have to reach out to your mortgage servicer, come to an agreement about how your payments will change. But only reach out if you've truly experienced a financial hardship and change in your income or expenses due to COVID-19. Please also keep in mind that due to the extraordinarily high demand for loan modifications and forbearance, you may experience long wait times or slow response times, so don't procrastinate to reach out. We're all so proud of our mutual constituents who were the first in the nation to come under more restrictive orders on physical movement. We all know this hasn't been easy for anyone, but it is critically important to getting ahead of this virus so we can all start the process of getting back to normal. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your perseverance. Stay healthy and please stay at home.
Thank you, Mark. Before we hear from Dave Pine, I'd like for our moderator administrator to put up the 2 charts about the emergency medical supplies needed in San Mateo County. I've been working with the Office of Emergency Services over the weekend trying to make sure we get these, but I just want everyone to see what we're talking about. We're talking about just remarkably basic things. 15,000 exam gloves. If you go to the next slide, it speaks of the fact that we need 10,000 thermometers. We need 50 gallons of bleach. We need adult diapers and adult wipes and hand sanitizers and disinfecting wipes. And I must say that, you know, this looks like a list that you would see in a third world country, not in California, certainly not in San Mateo County, one of the most well-funded counties in the country, and also one of the wealthiest. So I put that up. It's available, I think, online as well on my website. But if you have any of these items, excuse my dog, if you have any of these items, there is a way to make them available through the county. And with that, Dave, maybe you can take it away and tell us how they can do that in addition to your comments.
Thank you, Congressman Speier and colleagues. Our county manager, Mike Callaghy, who is quarterbacking the county's effort and has shown tremendous leadership, has said that every generation faces a historic challenge, and this is our challenge. So the county is approaching the crisis in that spirit. The top priority is preparing for the surge in cases. The county has procured hotel space for people who are infected but do not need care in a hospital. We're working with the federal government to stand up an emergency hospital at the event center. We are one of only 8 counties that are fortunate to have that opportunity. We're adding additional shelter space for the homeless, including placing some of the homeless in hotels. And to the Congressman's point, we're doing everything we can to procure medical supplies of all kinds, and particularly ventilators. On our website, there is opportunity for information as to how individuals can donate extra supplies in their homes. Another top priority, of course, is to stop the spread of the virus. As has been mentioned, we're proud that San Mateo County joined 5 other counties in being the first in the nation to put in place a stay-at-home order. And we are implementing that in earnest. Last Friday, we closed our county parks because parks were seeing a threefold attendance and a lot of crowding, dangerous crowding. And our efforts are working. There's a company called Unicast that collects mobile phone data. And based on that analysis, it shows that San Mateo County ranked 4th in the state in reducing mobility. So we're very proud of that. Our citizenry has responded in a terrific way to this stay-at-home order. And then finally, of course, we're working hard to help our residents and businesses who are impacted economically by the crisis. We put in place a moratorium on residential evictions. We are working on a moratorium for small businesses to make sure that they are not evicted. Of course, as has been mentioned, we have the San Mateo County Strong Fund, where the county seeded that fund with $3 million. And then again, really inspiring, we've coordinated a massive volunteer effort, and we've had well over 1,000 people in the county volunteer to help. We, in particular, want to deploy those volunteers to help people who are homebound and can't get to the grocery store, or where a volunteer can make an enormous difference. So in sum, the county has all hands on deck, and we're bringing all the resources we have to bear in responding to this crisis. I think we are working tremendously in a very, very collaborative fashion with all levels of government, all elected officials, the school districts, the private sector, the nonprofit sector, and we're making good progress.
Thank you, Dave. I think, as you can hear from what Supervisor Pine has said, the county has really stepped up in a major way. I now would like to have our District Attorney, Steve Wagstaffe, speak to us, because there's been a heightened list of actions by those who want to scam us, and I think it's important for all of you to be aware of what the county is doing. Steve, are you there?
I am. Good morning. Thank you, Congresswoman Speier, for allowing me to participate with the 6 of you. I'm honored to be here. Yes, indeed, there are scams out there. I issued last Friday a directive to all the media indicating that people need to be careful, because with every disaster that occurs, it doesn't matter what it is, there are people who will try and take care of the vulnerable, and they are out there. We need no more proof of that than last week. The FBI in San Diego arrested a Hollywood actor and charged him with felony wire fraud because he was collecting money from people, saying that he had come up with a lot of hard work. He and his team had come up with a cure for COVID-19, and he was offering for people to pay money into his company so that they could take advantage of that. That person was arrested, and that type of scam is what's going on, and what people in our community need to be very careful about. There are people out there, there will be people who will offer you free home test kits. There is no such thing. There are people who will call up and offer you a specialty type of cure for anything on this line. People should reject that. They should report it to their local law enforcement if they get such an inquiry, because the scammers are there. And what we also need to be careful of is when people are representing that they're calling from the perhaps from the CDC, or they're calling from the World Health Organization, and they're collecting funds. Anybody who collects funds or is asked to give funds should check with the people involved. Go online and verify that that is a legitimate charity, because we are going to get all of these calls. It will be ongoing. If anybody has any question, they should contact the district attorney's office or their local law enforcement, because we do want to try and run down these scammers. If there are other people out there, like the FBI gave its warning about last Friday, we want to try and stop them. Again, don't open up an email if you don't know who it's from. It's just the standard rules that keep you from getting malware and other things. That's important. The second thing I wanted to mention, Congresswoman, is what we're doing in law enforcement. People are wondering, am I going to get arrested? What do I do if I don't follow the rules? The answer is, as our governor said, we're not looking to use the hammer. We're trying to do this with gentle persuasion. In San Mateo County, our law enforcement chiefs and sheriff, when they see people who are not maintaining the social distance, who are gathering for a party, they're going up and they're telling people to stop. If somebody just refuses, then law enforcement will bring the case, cite them, bring the case to my office. It is a misdemeanor offense to violate that order during this emergency period, and we will prosecute them. What I'm pleased to say, being proud of being a San Mateo County resident, is so far, after several weeks of this, there has not been a single case brought to the San Mateo County District Attorney for violation of that. People, when told, are abiding by it. And as all 6 of you have said, now is the crucial time to do it. We're about to hit some good weather, I'm told, and that's going to be tempting to go outside and not follow the rules. They can't do it. They have to listen to what all of us are saying. Thank you for letting me be part today.
Thank you,
Jackie,
Steve.
can I add something
Absolutely.
to Steve and the scams? It's important for everyone to know that the IRS and Social Security Administration do not call anyone. So if anyone gets a call and the caller states that they're from the IRS or the Social Security Administration, hang up, because they do not make calls to anyone. And that's very important, especially for our senior citizens to know that.
Very good point. Thank you for drawing our attention to it. So the gist of this particular press conference on all levels of government, the federal, the state, the local, is that we are here to help. Our offices are available for those that have questions or needs, and calls will be responded to as quickly as possible. We are having telephone town halls. In fact, I'm having another one on Wednesday, and then a small business Zoom meeting on Thursday. So for those that have questions, we will do our level best to get you the answers you deserve. With that, let's open it up to any questions from the media.
Great. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Speier. This is Ellie Dahlman, your meeting administrator, and just wanted to thank you all again for joining us. As a reminder, you've all been muted for our initial briefing, and now if you'd like to ask a question, you can use the Zoom application to either raise your hand for a question, or you may type your question into the chat box and it will be read out loud. For those of you who have called in by phone only, you can raise your hand by typing in *9 on your phone, and I will unmute you when it is your turn. So with that, I don't see any hands raised quite yet, nor do I see any questions in the chat box. Let's see. So for those of you who are participating, if you click the participant button on the bottom of your screen, it will pop up a box, and there's a raise hand button on the bottom right of that box. If you press that, it will notify me and I'll be able to unmute you to ask a question. Yeah, at this time, I don't see any questions that have been submitted or any hands raised.
I just saw one.
Yes, we do. Congresswoman Speier, do you plan to continue your push to tie federal assistance for the cruise line industry to new safety, environmental, or labor regulations?
Yes, I am committed to doing that. In fact, I am in the process of drafting a piece of legislation. As you probably are aware, the cruise industry, for the most part, is not registered in the United States. And they fly the flag of other countries. They also pay virtually nothing in income tax. I think Carnival pays less than 1%. And in addition to that, I'm sure many of my colleagues have heard from complaints from constituents who had cruises planned, they had to be canceled, and they didn't get complete refunds. In fact, in one case that I know of, they only got $800 back from a $3,800 cruise that they had paid for. So we need greater accountability just for consumer sake, and then the environmental pollution that is generated by these cruise ships that goes unchecked has to be addressed as well.
Great. Our next question is from Margie Schaefer. You've been unmuted.
Oh, hi. This is a question for Steve Wagstaffe. I'm just wondering, what's the fine for social distancing violations? And specifically, have you seen scams in San Mateo County?
No, we have not had any cases brought to us. There have been where law enforcement simply says separate. However, if somebody is cited for it, the maximum punishment that a judge could impose for a misdemeanor would be a $1,000 fine and actually can go to jail.
Wow.
We're counting on that not happening.
Great, thank you, Margie. So just a reminder to everyone, next question in the chat box, how will the county help the homeless during this crisis?
Dave, you're on mute.
Oh. Dave, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. The county is very focused on assisting the homeless because there's a real risk of the COVID-19 virus spreading through the homeless community. So, number one is we are increasing our homeless shelter capacity, both by moving some of the homeless to hotels and by adding additional capacity, particularly at our Maple Street facility in Redwood City. So that is that's the strategy we have in place.
And I do want to say, I know that I can't remember if it was Senator Hill or Assemblyman Mullin mentioned the $1.1 billion that the state approved before we kind of closed the Capitol for the month. And a lot of that money is meant to go towards pushing that money down to our counties and our local service providers to help them, whether it's acquire motel rooms, hotel rooms, increase shelter capacity, whatever the case is, to try to help get our homeless residents off of the street and safe as quickly as possible. I wish more of that money had gone to San Mateo County. I don't think as much money went to San Mateo County as should have, but hopefully it provides some assistance.
And this is Anna Eshoo. There are, in the bill we just passed, there is funding specifically for the homeless that will go to the states and to local governments.
Great. So our next question is from Ann Makovic. You've been unmuted.
Hi, first of all, thanks for holding this press conference. We appreciate it. Wondering what you can tell us about the plan for the emergency hospital at the event center.
I believe that facility, the installation of that facility, I believe, will be beginning today. The U.S. National Guard is assisting with that. It's my understanding that the National Guard also has some medical personnel that potentially may be helping to staff the facility during the time when we need it. One issue that we are confronting, like everyone else in the country, is the shortage of medical staff to provide the services. So any assistance from the National Guard Medical Corps will be greatly appreciated.
And how many beds would that potentially hold?
I'm going from memory, but I believe it's in the vicinity of 250.
Okay. And any idea when that might be up and running?
Again, installation is starting now, and I think it will be a rapid, I don't think it will take long to get it up and running.
And is that something that we need immediately, or is that just thinking ahead?
It's thinking ahead. As I mentioned earlier, there's some hotel space that has been secured by the county to place people who are infected by the virus but do not need hospitalization. We still have plenty of room in that hotel, but as we've seen in New York and other places, things can change very, very rapidly, and we have to plan for a surge. Our health officer and others are working with the data to try to understand as best we can, what that surge might look like. The County of San Mateo, pre-COVID-19, about half of its hospital beds are not utilized on a day-by-day basis. So that's advantageous for us, since we have substantial hospital beds in normal times. We're not convinced that's enough. So therefore, we've secured the hotel. We partnered with the federal government to put up this hospital at the event center, and we're just working very hard to, understand exactly what capacity is needed, and obviously better to have more than less.
Okay, thank you.
Ellie, next question.
At this time, I'm not seeing any other questions. So as a reminder for those of you listening in, If you press the participant button at the bottom of your screen, a window should pop up where you can click raise hand at the bottom there, or you may type a question into the chat box. And for those of you participating by phone, you can raise your hand and I'll be able to unmute you by pressing *9.
Ellie, it sounds like we have exhausted all the questions that may be in the queue. So does anyone have any final words they'd like to share?
It's Anna. I just would like to say not only thank you to all of my colleagues and the superb job that everyone has exhibited and continues to, and in San Mateo County, the San Mateo County strong effort really is giving hope to so many people and all that have stepped forward and what SAMCETA is doing. And I just wanted to add that the Stanford Hospital has established a drive-through, and it is efficient and it's effective, but it requires a doctor's reference to the hospital in order to participate, and that's very important. So it's one of the few in the Bay Area, but it's working very well. They started out at about 100 a week. They ramped up to 1,000 this last week, over 2,000. So that I think is giving hope to many people, and I just wanted to add that because it's again one of the few places that is doing this, and they developed their own test. We were able to get a waiver so that they could develop their own test and proceed. So that's an important service to people in our area. Many San Mateo County residents, especially in the South County, are affiliated with Stanford. So thank you to everyone.
And for those who live in the rest of the county, Verily, V-E-R-I-L-Y, is doing a drive-by testing at the fairgrounds, and you can access that test by going online to their website, and through that process, if you show the symptoms, you will be given an appointment, and you will then go to the fairgrounds and have your nasal swab taken. Anything else anyone wants to say? All right, I'd like to just thank Ellie and Katrina at the County Government Center, who I'm sure have been doing social distancing as they have developed this opportunity for all of us to be together. And I want to say once again that it's a privilege to serve with each and every one of you. This county has shown extraordinary leadership and will continue to, without a doubt. We didn't even touch on what some of our biotech companies are doing, but they are at the front lines as well. And Genentech in particular has their fast rapid test that is now being deployed with over 1 million tests being sent around the country. And they are too looking at a particular drug that may be used and effective in dealing with this virus. So again, a privilege to serve with each and every one of you, and thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.